All right, welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Coffee Break Podcast. Let's get
Woo,
right.
woo. Woo woo.
Woo woo. All right, let's get right into the swing. Let's get right into the swing.
I had to join along.
I'm just saying, it just came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I gotta support my bros. You know. Let's get into the swing of things. I know you guys been enjoying these Am I the Asshole stories, so let's not do any more lollygagging. Let's get into this, okay? Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend he's not ambitious enough, and I don't want to quote unquote build a man while I'm already building myself?
Oh man.
First off, bars.
She killed him.
She ate on that post. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. But let's get into it, okay?
All right.
I, female 27, have been dating male 29, Chris, for almost 2 years. He's sweet, kind, emotionally supportive, the type of guy I always thought I wanted. But lately, I've started to feel like we're not on the same path. I'm in law school, I work part-time, and I've been extremely goal-oriented. Chris, on the other hand, is very chill. He works part-time at a retail job, doesn't have a clear career plan, and kind of floats through life with a things will work out type of mindset. I've encouraged him to go back to school, apply for jobs, or at least do something to move forward. But every time he shrugs and says he's quote unquote figuring it out. Meanwhile, I'm grinding every day trying to create a future for myself. Last week, I finally told him that I don't feel like he's ambitious enough for the kind of life I want to build. I said I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly having to motivate someone else. I'm already carrying my own weight. I'm not trying to carry someone else's too. He got really hurt and said that I'm treating him like a project and that I knew who he was when I met him and that I'm being cold and materialistic. Bow. Now I feel guilty. He's a good man in a lot of ways, but is it wrong for me to want a partner who moves with the same fire as I do? Am I the asshole? Bars again, yo. First off, shout out to your writing skills. We've had a lot of, I'm not going to say it, but we've had some questionable posts submitted into this podcast. The grammar, specifically the punctuation. So I appreciate a nice, well-told, well-written story.
Okay.
But what do you guys think? Guy said, yo, this is who I am.
How long were they together for?
Good question.
Because they're 29 now, right?
Almost 2 years.
She's 27.
He's 27, he's 29.
So they met, 25, 20. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though I want to be on the man's side on this one, man. Even though it hurts me, I totally agree with her.
Really?
Yeah, because if I don't like the way he came about it when he was like, you know what you got yourself into when you met me,
Is that not valid?
No, it's not, because you assume, and this is a good assumption to make, people want better for themselves, right?
That is a good point.
Everybody wants better for
Of
themselves.
course, yes.
Nobody wants to stay stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like we always want to improve ourselves, get a better quality of life, be better for ourselves, provide more for the people around us. Can we agree?
100%.
So it would make sense that your partner would want that as well. It's kind of like, it's not something worth bringing up, that this is the type of life that we want. So for him to be like, you know what you got yourself into, it's kind of like you see your partner, or let me put myself in the situation where it's kind of like, if my girl was going to degree after degree, job after job, doing better for herself, and I'm just chilling at home, playing games, doing absolutely nothing, I can see how from her perspective it may be a turnoff, because it looks like, and probably the effort that I'm putting in, I'm not putting much out there. Like, she's out here bettering herself, and I'm here in this pause and this limbo of not doing much, And if my wife or my potential girlfriend is like, yo, I need you to put your head on straight, get a better job, get a better career, get better education, and that's because I'm not doing much with my life, I get where she's coming from. I'm not going to take it to heart,
Fair enough.
That's how I think.
Fair enough.
But why wait 2 years with a man that's only working part-time?
That's a great question. But I would assume that he thought that he had a plan. Like, who wants to be in retail for their whole life?
That's the only... I understand verbatim if he says, this is who I am, this is what you got yourself into, or this is who I was when you met me, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you waited around for 2 years, then brought this up while you're going to school and hustling to doing all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to build this up, you won't let somebody just drag along for 2 years. You get what I mean?
I get you, but what I'm saying is, at the beginning, you don't really talk about these hard hitting subjects. You know, like you're kind of, you like each other, you guys are involved, you guys are getting to know each other. Around the 2-year mark is when things start to get serious, where it's kind of like, if we want to build a future together, we need to have plans. And I think that's when she came to the conclusion of, if you are not on the same page as me, I don't even think they're in the same book, fam. Like, if they're not on the same wavelength, I can't continue on this relationship, because you and I are growing in 2 separate paths. Actually, he's stagnant. He's not even growing, you know? Wouldn't that make sense, though? For her to be like, okay, moving forward, what are you going to do? What's your plan? And for him to be like, fam, this is what I'm doing right now. I think that's totally disrespectful to what she wants for a partner in the future.
I don't know. I feel like perspective matters in this story. And like, I don't know, you're making a lot of assumptions on the guy. Like, there was no mention of him like spending his free time playing video games, stuff like that.
I was talking about myself.
It was just a mention of the career.
I play games.
But I'm just saying, like,
whatever you do in your free time.
don't you think?
100%.
Okay, don't you think it's a little bit like career shaming though? Like, just because he's working part time in a retail job, like, so what? Like, if I'm working at a part time job at a retail store, right, and I'm satisfied with where I'm at right now, that doesn't necessarily mean I have no ambition. You know, I could be progressing in the store that I'm in to get to a better position there. You know, there's differences in perspective here in terms of like goals, right? I think this person, as she's studying and she's going through law school and whatnot, right, and working part time for herself, she has an understanding of where her life is going to be. She has a goal that she's trying to attempt to reach throughout her working hard. But her man, on the perspective, the guy, right, he could also be, you know, targeting something of his own. We just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he could be trying to get into another bag on the side, which is not really making him change right now. You know, like, there's so many, you know, details that are left out of the story that seem like this person is just analyzing the situation or comparing the situation she's in to the situation her significant other's in, and just saying, okay, you need to do more because I'm doing this. And it's like, to me, it's like you're leaving out just genuine empathy for your spouse, for your partner, whoever the person is. And you're leaving out like perspective of where they're trying to get to, you know, like some people, and not to mention too, we don't know about the guy's come up story too. Like, let's say I'm the guy, right? Okay. And I had a tough childhood growing up where, you know, things were hard for me to, you know, get over. And I've, you know, come across certain tragedies in lifestyle in my life. And I've, you know, shed off certain lifestyles and habits and stuff. And I've gotten to this point, and I'm working a steady job part-time. I have a girl who loves me and I'm supportive of, and she even mentioned in the story too, like, this guy's everything you'd want out of a partner, but this is his job, right? So if everything I'm doing in the relationship is already met, but my way of earning income is like bothering you, then I feel like you need to have a conversation with me onto like what my perspective on life is, rather than kind of shame me for my position. You know what I mean? Like, because he is right when he says, this is who I was when I came, right? But that could also be, yo, I'm trying to get to a managerial position in this retail job, or I'm trying to get into corporate, or I'm trying to get something off the ground on my side hustles or something like that. You know, like, it's just weird for you to assume that this is just it, or this is like the rock bottom for him. Or it could be a place of like levelship. You know, it could be a place of leverage that he's at. He's trying to gain more. So it's like perspective really matters in the story. And I feel like she's not giving her man the benefit of the doubt in this, you know? If that makes sense.
Okay. You were going to say something?
I agree with the relationship part of what you were saying. The career part, the only thing let me start with the relationship part. Relationship part, I completely agree with you. She has to figure out what's important to her. If someone that treats her right, or someone that's as career driven as she is, she has to figure out for themselves.
Right.
Because some people do have a balance with that, but some people one's more than the other. Either they're career driven and they don't treat people right, or they're empathetic and open hearted, but they're not really driven in life. The only thing I'm going to disagree with you with is you're putting a lot of, like you said on him, you're putting a lot of assumptions.
That's what I'm saying, bro. He's putting so many assumptions.
That is true.
Assumptions on his career when he's working part time.
Yeah,
that is true.
After 2 years, and the only reason I'm putting more blame on her in this story than him is because you're moving in together with somebody that was only working part time after 2 years.
Okay.
Why? Like, you got to pick up sides early on and not be romanticized about the you have to look at the overall of who somebody is. Instead of try to pick out the best parts, you try to write down your characteristics of who you're looking for and check off all those boxes if you're looking for the well-rounded person.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I disagree with a lot of what you said. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is in the story it was stated that he asked him, "What's your plan?" or something along those lines, and he was like, "You know what you're getting yourself into."
Yes.
So that sentence is really important because in that sentence it basically states that it doesn't sound like to me that he has ambition. Because if he did, he would have laid out a plan for her to be like, actually, I thank you for asking. My goal next is to become full-time. A full-time position is going to be available in the upcoming future. I'm going to apply to that. And then to the addition to that, I'm going to do something on the side in order for more income to come. You know? That's somebody who has a plan. That's somebody who has a plan would do. You feel me? Compared to him being defensive and being like, yo, do you know what you were getting yourself into? Why are you telling me no? We're 2 years.
But you gotta also ask yourself too, why would somebody be defensive with such a progressive question like that?
Because they probably don't have anything going for them.
But wouldn't it have to come from a place of negativity for you to become defensive about it? Like if you're saying it in the context of you should be somewhere that you're not right now, then of course there's going to be a negative response, right? But if it's a positive conversation, then you can get to somewhere, right?
But wasn't the question, what is your plan?
Let me see.
Wasn't it along those lines?
It was something of that nature.
Yeah, but then if for him to respond back like you know what you're getting yourself into, that sounds like he's being defensive.
He says right here, I finally told him that I don't feel like he's ambitious enough for the kind of life I want to build. I said I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly having to motivate someone else. I'm also already carrying my own weight. I'm not trying to carry somebody else's too. That doesn't sound like a positive conversation.
That doesn't sound like one.
It sounds like she was harping at him.
Fair enough, but I do agree. I agree with you guys.
That's really a selfish term. She said, the life I want to build.
That's fair.
Instead of us building it together.
Exactly.
Good point. I agree with you guys. But if you're a man, because me personally, if my woman came up to me and said, personally, I'm looking for somebody who's a provider.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for somebody who matches my energy. I'm looking for somebody who has the same level of ambition as me. And currently, I don't really see that coming from you. The way that I would respond if this is somebody that I want to spend the rest of my life with is, okay, let me get my shit together. Let me do, because this is important what I want between us, and I don't want this to disperse. I want this to be consolidated. So I would take that positively.
But doesn't it matter what the guy wants to? Like, what if he's satisfied with the life that's less of what she wants?
Brother, he's working part-time at a retail place.
Yeah, but there's
in what economy can you provide for yourself?
There's no mention of financial issues and struggle here. This is just two people that are working towards two separate lives, right? No mention of struggle here, right? So let's eliminate that aspect of this being here, right? So why can't I just want to be...
I refuse for you to... No. I refuse for you to neglect...
Talk about it.
What his income is. So because we live in Toronto.
The bills are paid.
Let me paint you guys a scenario. You let me know if this is possible.
Why'd you pull up your pets?
No, because this guy was neglecting a very important fact.
Go ahead.
We live in Toronto.
Yes.
It's an expensive city.
Very.
We all have full-time jobs or getting like in the pursuit of getting something better for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all are working, right? Correct? Am I on the same page as everybody?
Mm-hmm.
You are.
It is still hard for us to survive in the city.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah.
Now let's take it a step back. What if we were working at Walmart on a full-time 28 hours minimum wage? Could you live on that?
Are my bills being paid?
That's not what I asked you.
Well, that's what matters, right?
No, but let's say you're on your own.
How I survive.
Because if you have a partner, you both potentially are owning a place together, right?
Yeah.
Or paying rent or have bills or do anything.
Mm-hmm.
With your 28 hours a week on minimum wage salary, could you afford your bills?
Depends what my bills are.
Yes or no?
Potentially.
No,
yes.
he's neglecting it, bro.
No, I'm gonna stand on business and say yes.
How?
Depends on how much my bills are and depends how much my paycheck is after the end of those 28 hours.
Brother.
Average one bedroom in Toronto. That's closer to
2,100, give or take.
That's more like a condo. Like the one bedroom's
18. Okay, you know what? I'll give you 1,800. I'll give you 1,800.
The math is not math there.
The math on what?
I'm saying that's not an affordable living rate.
But then
to live in Toronto. If that's the answer you're asking
so
for,
what,
then
you're saying the rent is too cheap?
No, I'm saying the rent is too high for somebody making that much. But none of this
That's
was
what I'm
mentioned.
trying to tell you.
But you're just adding that to the scenario we're in right now. None of that was mentioned. There's no financial struggle here.
Because
matters.
they never gave us the conditions on their living wages, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is she's trying to plan for the future. Can we agree on that?
Yes.
So if we're trying to plan for the future and she potentially has, sounds like to me, a good head on her shoulders, she's probably going to get a decent job. And if he comes with his 28 hours a week, part-time job, what does the split look like?
That's for the life that she wants to live, though.
That's the life. That's the basic living. No,
but that's the life that she wants to live. What if the man's happy?
This guy's
somebody could be
this guy's gaslighting me.
No, I'm just saying. Somebody can be happy as a postman. So what? Just because the hours are less, a postman could be married to a billionaire woman. They could still be happy together. There's no problem.
I'm not denying that. But
It's
what I'm
just
trying
about-
to say is
Me.
if you were in Toronto,
Yes.
part-time, with 28 hours a week, what is that? Probably like 2 weeks, 2,000 a paycheck?
It's not doable.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you're supposed to be in a relationship,
Mhm.
putting in effort, does that look like you can provide for your missus?
Not in Toronto.
Thank you.
But we're not
That's my whole point.
But we're not talking
That's
about
my whole
Toronto.
point.
We're not talking about financial struggle. We're talking about where they want to be and where their future is. One person in this scenario, has aspirations that are higher than the other. We can't discount the other person's aspirations and where they want to be in life.
What is the aspiration?
Just because one wants to be higher doesn't make them better.
What do aspirations equate to at the end of the day? How much you bring in? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? Can we agree?
Yes.
So that's the main thing. She's basically telling him, fam, you don't make enough for us to make plans for the future.
She's saying you don't make enough for me. Not necessarily for our future, because we don't know what that nigga wants.
I don't think he's making the bare minimum, though. He doesn't even have a full-time retail
There's no mention of financial struggle, so you're just adding.
Bro, that's common sense.
I'm just saying.
No. You know he's doing, fam.
You're holding on to leverage that doesn't exist, fam.
Fam, you know it's a financial struggle. Don't put two and two together. You're a human being, fam.
Of course. In reality, if this was in the city of Toronto, I would be supporting your theory. But this is a story that we're reading here that has no mention of that at all. We're just saying that one person wants to live a certain life. The other person doesn't seem to want to live the life that other person wants. So that's the conflict here. So you're adding this. We might not have enough money to live in this certain house or to drive this certain car. What if the nigga doesn't want those things? Does that not matter?
Fam, he can't afford a basic home. I'm not saying a mansion, fam. I'm saying in Toronto, he can't split a 900.
We're not talking about Toronto, fam.
1,800 in entire Canada.
We're not talking about any of that. They could be living on a farm happily. So what?
Farm expensive.
What's wrong? Yo,
they could be. I'm just saying their financial situation. But their financial. I'm adding this to the context of the story that we're in right now. There's no mention of financial struggle, fam. I understand that would be a huge burden in a real relationship. But this is a person that's saying, yo, you're not picking up the steam that I'm laying down here. She says it verbatim, said, I'm not trying to carry someone else's weight while carrying my own too.
What is that weight?
Do we advance the conversation? Let's say you're the girl. What would you do? You have a female in the house that's living that part-time retail, and yours are damn near 30. What would you do?
Okay, is this a conversation about ambition? Like, how are we framing this here?
Like, where are we going from here?
If I'm in a relationship, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I'm putting in majority of the legwork to live a certain lifestyle that I want to live, I'm going to have a conversation with them and say, yo, do you want us to live in this certain lifestyle? I'm going to get to the bottom of that before I try and push them towards where I want to be. If they don't want to be that, then I'm out.
So
simple as that.
Difference between what you said and what she just said?
I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm just saying that she's framing this in a way where it's her way or no way, which is fine and fair, but you can't call the man the asshole, or you can't call him somebody who's like less than you. You can't
I'm asking, how would you approach that conversation
in a more positive way? If I'm the person who's doing more in the relationship, then I would tell them right then and there. I'd be like, yo, to be honest with you, this is how I want my life to go. It's nothing about, the dynamic we have, because the dynamic they have in the relationship, that he's sweet, kind, emotionally supportive, all that is met. Mm-hmm. But she seems to want more. For me personally, if I was the breadwinner and I was making all that and I was getting emotional support, kindness and all that from home, I think that would be enough for me, to be honest with you. However, if somebody else's views on life does not align, then they're justified in leaving that relationship how it is. That's fine.
We agree on that, though.
Yeah, fair enough.
We agreed on the fact that the way she said it was wrong.
If I was the girl, I wouldn't feel a way about, not picking up slack because I'm doing the hard work as it is.
The
I
hard
don't
work?
think she cares about the slack right now. I think the whole thing we kept on mentioning, she's caring about the future.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
she
the
said, I
future
want a
plan,
plan.
And that's where my disagreement comes. I feel like their futures aren't aligned enough for you to come up with this conclusion about your spouse because you just came at him in a negative way. You didn't come at him in a way where it's like positive. You know what I mean?
Which I agree with.
That's
But
it.
if he just went along with it, okay,
Right.
took emotions out of it, because I get it, it's an emotional response. If he was to be like, this is actually what my plan is. I'm a part-timer. I'm looking for full-time, right? After that, I'm looking for management. And then after that, blah, blah. Like, he just, from the looks of it, he was invested in the relationship, but he just needed, like, to know that for sure this is the direction you're going.
To get that assurance, you don't come at it in a negative
Which
way.
we both agree on,
I mean?
which is true.
That's the shitstorm we're
But
in right now.
at the end of the day, I don't think she was wrong.
I don't think she was wrong either. I just think that the way she came about it is not right. That's my whole point.
Totally. I agree with you. But it's not wrong to ask your partner,
fair enough.
Do you not want better for yourself?
Fair enough. And it's not wrong for him to say, no, I don't want this lifestyle either. That's my point.
I think it is wrong. Yeah.
Everybody's different at the end of the day. Maybe the guy's happy where he is or he's happy with less than what she wants.
28 hours a week?
Man, you keep adding this 28 hours a week, fam. Like, come on.
That's what part-time is. That's what retail part-time is, bro.
So what? What if he enjoys that? What if he likes his time off? Some people are different, fam.
Some people are different?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are literally different. You're right.
Yeah, bro.
On
Some
the
people
streets
don't have
different, you know?
Some people don't have as much ambition as you, and that's okay.
Having ambition is fine, fam. I'm cool with if you have
can't
enough
shame
to
them for
sustain your
not.
No, if you have enough to sustain your bills, cool, fam. But from what he's currently making, to me at least, it doesn't
We don't
sound
know
like
that.
I'll leave it at that.
We can agree to disagree. I'll just leave it at that. We don't know that.
The only thing is how he reacted seems like in the past he probably had some conversation of his dreams and people probably shit on his dreams. So some people say, oh, I want to be a content creator. In 2025, that field seems like it's oversaturated. So if you tell everybody, hey, I want to be this, and you know the type of responses you've gotten in the past, you'll probably withhold that information from sharing that out of the fear the person you care for the most will react that same way.
There's a lot of variables. Yeah, there's a lot of variables here. I'm just saying that well, you tell me in the comments. I want you guys to know. Am I tripping? Am I tripping out, guys? Am I tripping out?
100% tripping.
Am I tripping out? Let me know. Are these guys talking the truth here?
No.
Or am I talking the truth?
You're not talking.
Let me know in the comments, everybody. We've been loving to see all the engagement here. Keep it up. We have more coming on the way. It's the Coffee Break Podcast.